Wonderful. Well, good morning. Are you freezing in there?
No.
Good. I'm lying, but no.
No, I'm not
Perfect.
freezing. I have my
Okay.
fingerless gloves on and a hat
Mm-hmm.
and a warm jacket sweater thingy.
And you're all set. Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to introduce myself and then you, and then we'll jump right in.
Sounds great.
So, I am Erica Manfre, your host of Business Elevated, and today I'm here with Goldi Jacques-Maynes, a chiropractor and business coach. Is that
Hello,
right?
welcome. That's
Hi.
right. I'm so excited
Well,
to be here.
welcome.
Thanks.
Yes. And you recently just launched a podcast.
I did, yes. Me and two of my friends, we are the
Hmm.
Cairo Moms, and we have launched the Cairo Mom podcast.
Awesome. So definitely go check that out. So who is the audience that it would apply to mostly?
Uh, we're the three of us are chiropractors.
Okay.
So we, are in clinical practice. Two of us, three of us, and our audience is stressed out, overwhelmed women who are struggling with musculoskeletal aches and pains, work-life balance, all the
Oh, cool.
things.
So it's
Business
not like,
owners, helpers,
okay.
healers.
So it's,
It's not
yeah.
for
So it's for
chiropractors. It's
chiropractors. Yeah. Okay. Well, then, ladies that are listening, go check it out. Basically, bottom line. Well, awesome. And so you and I met because you had some content needs. And so I took your photos and I just instantly was like, you're my people. Every once in a while that happens.
Yes. If it wasn't COVID,
And
I think we'd be
so,
hanging out.
for sure, 100%. So tell us about, your chiropractor world, like how you got started, like your background in that regard.
Sure. Um, where to begin? I grew up in Santa Cruz County
Oh,
ish.
okay.
So I actually went to elementary school in Watsonville. I
Okay.
went to McQuitty back when it was McQuitty. This is a local audience for this podcast, correct?
It's
Ish.
it's varied, but ish, yeah. If they don't get it, that's okay. They can
That's
just keep
okay.
listening.
So it's not McQuitty. No, Salsi Puedes is not Salsi Puedes anymore. But so I went to Salsi
Mm-hmm.
Puedes and I went to McQuitty and
Mm-hmm.
um, down in Watsonville. And then my parents divorced and I went to SoCal
Mm-hmm.
schools after that. So
Mm-hmm.
New Brighton and SoCal High. I went to UC
Yeah.
Santa Cruz and studied molecular, cellular, and developmental biology. So
Wow.
pre-med degree, basically.
Mm-hmm.
When I graduated from UC Santa Cruz, I didn't want to go to medical school. So I went to
Mm.
work for a couple of years as a molecular biologist.
Ooh.
And I worked for 1 year in a laboratory setting and realized I hated that.
And was
And
that also here in Santa Cruz
yeah,
County?
well, so the biotech company I worked for first was in East Palo Alto.
Mm-hmm.
So I graduated from UC Santa Cruz in the year 2000 and moved up to the
Yay.
Bay Area. So that was like, oh my gosh, the dot-com boom. Like people
Mm-hmm.
had all this fake wealth and money and they're throwing it
Mm-hmm.
around and I couldn't even afford a bed. My husband was launching, like he was like a neo pro cyclist, and
Mm-hmm.
I was working, and so he worked at a local bike shop there, and I worked for this biotech company. We couldn't even afford a bed, so we were sleeping on a futon that his mom gave us, and I had back pain.
Oh.
So I started seeing a chiropractor then. That really, I mean, I had seen a chiropractor in high school, but the chiropractor that I saw in that area was a mom, and she had a little like kind of daycare in the back where her daughter
Mm-hmm.
was. And I thought to myself, I think for the first time in many years, like, oh, maybe this is the kind of doctor I could be. Um,
Oh.
my dad my dad owned an ice cream shop in downtown Watsonville when I was a kid, and so he kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit, and he had
Mm-hmm.
another income tax business, and despite working for the local school district his whole life, he was
Mm-hmm.
always kind of dabbling in these side businesses, which really interested
Yeah.
me. Chiropractic had that that physician helping and touching people literally in their lives that the biotech industry didn't, right? Like,
Right. You're
so
not in a
cool that we
lab,
were
you're
working
definitely
on.
patient facing.
Yeah, so that, I worked after working for this biotech company developing, future drugs, whatever our mission there was. I went to work for Santa Cruz Biotech, which was on the west side. And that was where both of those jobs really taught me that, like, I'm not a great employee. I am too much of a free thinker and rebel to actually really follow directions from a boss.
I love that because really, I always say every job that you have should at least teach you something you don't like, right? I mean, it
Yes.
doesn't always have to teach you some life skill, but it can teach
Right?
you at minimum what you don't like. It's like
Yeah.
dating.
Yes.
Hmm.
I worked in Capitola Village through college, right?
Hmm.
I sold jewelry and then I went to work for like a little bed and breakfast, and I just loved service. I loved serving
Yeah.
people and cooking for them and asking them how I could make their stay in Santa Cruz more awesome and
Yeah.
recommending my favorite beaches, and so I've just always had a heart for service
Yeah.
and healthcare. My mother was a public health nurse, so.
And so how
Anyway, to
long?
make a long story short, what? You have a look on your face like you
No,
have a
I was just
question.
wondering how long, like after you decide I want to be a chiropractor, like how long does it take to become a chiropractor?
That's a good question. Well, it took me 3 years to come to terms with the idea because I thought chiropractors were quacky weirdos. um, just this impression I had from like pop culture, I would suppose.
Hmm.
But as I got to know more chiropractors and shadowed them in their work and saw how they were helping people in pain,
Hmm.
you know. Anyway, the program is 3.5 years.
Hmm.
And so I went to Palmer College of Chiropractic West in San Jose.
Hmm.
And then when I graduated, I bought a practice in Watsonville.
So
I
you still were
had,
like, I can't work for someone else. You're like, I gotta
I
do
still,
this myself.
I have
Yeah.
to do this by myself. Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was already a mother. I had both my
Hmm.
children while I was in grad school, which is
Wow.
insane. And it
Insane.
was my second career. And I
Hmm.
was like, go get her.
Yeah.
It was like the fast
I
road to
love that.
burnout, truly.
Well, for sure. So that was in Watsonville.
That
And
was in
how long did you
Watsonville.
practice there? And how long did it take you to get to where you are currently in Aptos?
Yeah, so I bought Driscoll Chiropractic in 2000. I took over January 2008,
Mm.
and the economy very quickly tanked, and our
Mm.
community, you know, took a hard hit. A lot of people in our community
Hmm.
lost jobs and homes and insurance benefits, and
Yeah.
after I think I had a 3-year lease in the location that I took over, and
Hmm.
when that ended, I moved the practice. It just wasn't affordable. I just really struggled in business those first 3 years.
Hmm.
Go figure. I was
Hmm.
also a new mom with a toddler and a baby when I graduated, and I didn't know anything about business,
I was gonna say the first 3 years of business are the hardest parts anyway. Not
right? Let
having those
alone,
outside influences coming
yeah,
in on you.
yeah. And I mean, I didn't know about business. I certainly didn't have all my clinical skills up to par, right?
Hmm.
I think I was a good chiropractor. I still have patients from that time who like
Oh,
me,
that's good.
so
That's a good
I must have
sign.
helped them.
Or they just really like you.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Um, I moved to a wellness center on Penny Lane, so I was there for 4 years,
Hmm.
and that time was a very difficult time. My husband
Hmm.
had his first sort of life-threatening injury.
Mm.
So it was really nice in the sense that I had sort of simplified my business model. I was just renting
Sure.
space from someone who ran the clinic, and I was able to really more focus on just treating the patients
Hmm.
instead of running the business
Yeah.
while I kind of helped the yard sale that was his health at that time.
Hmm. And your
In two,
husband ended up becoming a professional cyclist.
yeah, he did. He
Hmm.
was a professional cyclist for 10 or 15 years. I can't remember
Hmm. Yeah.
now.
All blends
Road.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was, in addition to being a mother and a chiropractor and a business owner, I always say it was kind of like being a firefighter mom because
Hmm.
he was on the road so much, sort of like a
Yeah.
fireman will go to the station for several days and be completely off
Hmm.
the grid and then come back. And so, you know, he raced, I think, 100 days a year, but traveled 200 days a year.
Jeez.
So it was a lot of
Yeah.
doing all the things
Hmm.
in that phase of life.
And I mean, I'm going to skip ahead just because this theme reminds me of it. So, your service, your podcast service is to working women that are, do you think that, that phase of life has, influenced where you are today and your active service for that group of people that you were or
Heck
are
yeah.
still?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah. I
One thing
always say
I'm,
that, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, it's like you can't explain what motherhood is like. You just can't. It's impossible to explain. And then you have two of them. And then that whole shift is impossible to explain because then your brain isn't thinking about just one thing. You're thinking about two living things. You're thinking about your career. You're thinking, I mean, it's just, and then a marriage, and then all of these. It's just impossible to explain. You have to experience it to understand what that's like.
Do you remember back in the old days when TVs had channels?
Yes, yes, I do.
And you would go from channel 1 to 2 to 3. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. You have your family channel, you have your kid channel,
Mm-hmm.
you have your husband channel, you have your business channel. You're like switching channels all the time. It's really
All the
disorienting and
time.
overwhelming.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But maybe they're all
That's
broadcasting at the same time. I don't quite understand. I feel like a
well,
human
and
antenna sometimes.
I feel a little bit like too. No one was really talking about the challenges of it before. I mean, obviously, I've only been a parent 5 years, but like when my mom was doing it, no one was talking about how hard it was. Like they were just doing it. And there was
Yeah.
almost this like facade that you were either a working mom or you weren't. Like those were the two categories. And the working mom sometimes had a stigma because it was like, I can't believe you're working. Whereas, especially living where we live, it's virtually impossible for like a single income family. But
Right.
that was the only thing I remember. It was like you were either working mom or you weren't a working mom. And so your friends were like, oh, your mom works or oh, your mom doesn't work. But there was never a discussion about the real challenges and how hard parenting is in general.
Yeah.
So it's
And
just
I had a
interesting.
single mom, right? So you watch
Hmm.
this.
Yeah,
She's amazing.
right. So you moved to Penny Lane. You're, caring for your husband, your kids, still, supporting your family basically. What happens next?
Hmm.
So that was 4 years. So are we up to 2012?
Um, what year did I move to Penny Lane? 2011,
Is it?
2012? Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I was there 4 years.
Hmm.
So I moved to Aptos in 2015.
And where did you go all in on your own business again at this time, or were you
Uh,
just renting the
yes.
space?
No.
Hmm.
So I've always held the name Golden Chiropractic, even when I was in the office at Penny Lane. And then
Hmm.
when I went to Aptos and started that practice, after 8 years of practicing in Watsonville, I'm not gonna lie, I was not able to support my family. My husband's
Hmm.
career was coming to an end as a cyclist,
Hmm.
and so we saw, the potential to lose his income source, and we didn't know what he was
Hmm.
going to do when he grew up. So, no, cycling was definitely a career, but it felt like, okay, what's next? We don't
I
know. Will he
understand.
go to
Yeah, you
school?
can't
Will
do it
he?
forever.
You can't be a professional athlete forever. And so
Right.
I just knew I had, okay, kids are older now. I'm more capable to take on, the responsibility of staffing again, of being responsible for all the things in running a business. And I was excited to do it again and do it better.
Yeah.
So that was 6 years ago now that I moved to Aptos.
Yeah.
And really, I started learning about business then, right? I found
Sure.
a business coach. I found a group of women who were chiropractors and moms and business owners. And we started, I hired a marketing person to help me with branding. And I learned along the way, and was really able to grow a business that could support my family. So now my
Yeah.
husband works in Golden Chiropractic. He supports me as an office manager and helps with operations as the office manager. So
What I love about what you just said is you weren't just pretending you knew it all, right? Like you're seeking out resources and figuring it out with people that actually specialize in that field. So you hired, was it Dawn that still works for you?
yeah, yes,
So
Dawn,
you found her and she helped you with branding. And
right,
so you weren't pretending to be a marketing specialist because being a business owner, you're wearing so many hats as it is. And then you're also
yeah,
the service provider.
right,
So, in addition to actually treating patients, you're supposed to know accounting, marketing, branding, managing people, staffing, HR, all of these things.
right,
But you were mature enough at that time to realize I need, some resources, some people that can help. And they were contracted people, I'm assuming. So the liability for you is less, and there's not all of that pressure of like having to have another employee.
yeah.
And then they're elevating you as you were, needing that support. So I think that's really smart and relevant.
Get help with the things you don't know
Yeah.
how to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, outsource and
Yeah.
delegate and learn, And I think
Mm-hmm.
really podcasts has been my biggest source for learning. As I'm
Yeah.
driving anywhere, if I'm, going for a walk, I'm listening
Mm-hmm.
and learning. I always say driving is my learning time. Now it's
I
walking
love
because
driving. Oh, yeah. Running, walking, anything that you don't have to think about what you're actually doing is
yes.
when I get my most creative thoughts. Like I driving for me is almost like my whiteboarding. Like I'm like my brain is going crazy and I'm thinking about all these different things that I could do and pursue and I'm being a devil's advocate. It's like weird. I think I
Yeah.
have like ADD maybe.
No, I mean
But
some
then
people do it in the shower, right? I don't have my
yeah,
ideas in the shower, but
right.
a stillness will come in your
Mhm.
body and in your nervous system when you kind of are on autopilot and you can think through to the ends of things. We're so
For
distracted in
sure.
our lives by
Mhm.
our children and our jobs and our husbands and our social media.
I was gonna
How can
say,
you
and now we have
possibly,
these things
right?
constantly. So like it's hard to turn off your business hours when there's constantly email notifications and all of this outside influence coming at us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And we know the era of Google too. I mean, the joke is that with Google and YouTube, you can virtually learn anything that you can learn in a college classroom. And so that's why I wonder like what the future of college is going to look like just because I went to school. I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where it's very you say what your major is. You declare upon entry, and
Yeah.
so they start you in major related courses right away, which is unique, but it is more relevant. So my first go around, it was pre vet, and my first class of animal science, my first quarter, freshman, like little girl Erica had no idea. I decided I don't want to be a vet. And it was
Yeah.
like, okay, now what? You know?
I
So
already
I
declared.
just declared I'm like in all these courses. Yeah. And so in the era of Google and Yelp where you can learn virtually anything. I mean, if you have the time, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We're in an amazing era if you utilize it.
Agreed. There's just so much
Yeah.
information. It's overwhelming, but it is empowering too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then you were running this chiropractic office And then you just recently, or was it in 2020 that you launched your business coaching for other medical field type people?
Yeah, so I mentioned I had found a group of women who were chiropractors and moms, and I was kind of an OG member of this program called the Aligned Women, and my business coach hired me to support the women in that program. So I did that for a year. Last year, when the pandemic hit,
Mm-hmm.
she made an executive decision to release me from that position supporting
Mm-hmm.
women in the program, and I just was like, all right, I still want to do this. I'm gonna
Right.
do it on my own. um,
Mm-hmm.
so it was the proverbial kick in the butt to launch my own business,
Well, yeah,
coaching.
then you don't have to step on toes and do any of that. It can
Yeah.
happen
Well,
for
it
you.
was,
Mm-hmm.
it was so great to have someone believe in me before I believed in myself.
Mm, that's
When
huge.
she, you know, brought me on to support those people.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. It was great. Now you can follow me at, so my chiropractic practice is Golden Chiropractic, and
Mm-hmm.
the website there is goldenchiro.net, but the
Mm-hmm.
coaching is drgoldi.com. So you can check
And
out
I'll
my
link.
offerings there. You can
Yeah,
link it
I'll
in the
link
show
both
notes or
of
whatever.
those. Yeah.
So I'm mostly working now with women who are chiropractors who have more established practices. I'm sort of trying to see
Mm,
who has been reaching out to me and I've been working with. I speak
mm-hmm.
at Palmer. I
Mm,
have a couple of like signature talks that I deliver there to the students. So I
mm-hmm.
have this audience of students and new grads, and I
Mm-hmm.
will bring them into the practice and let them do internships in my clinic or shadow me. And then I
Mm-hmm.
have this audience of chiropractors who have been clinicians for a while, and now
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're pregnant and they're
Mm,
like realizing they need to make a change and free up some of
mm-hmm.
their time. How do you do that? How do you go from working 40 hours a week to taking a
Yeah.
maternity leave? Many
Right.
chiropractors take 2 or 3 weeks off as a maternity leave because they can't
Their
afford to.
practice stops when they're
Their
not
practice
practicing.
stops, right? If
Yeah.
we're not
Mm-hmm.
touching people, we're not
Mm-hmm.
employed, so we don't get
Mm-hmm.
mat leave benefits or
Right.
anything. So it's really sad and it's hard on our
Yeah.
bodies, particularly these
Mm-hmm.
women. So I'm just so passionate about helping women
Mm-hmm.
navigate those transitions as easily as possible. And I
Yeah.
have other women who have been in practice for a long time, and they're trying to figure out how to be more profitable in their business.
Mm-hmm.
Because the sad reality is, insurance companies pay chiropractic benefits so little. They pay less
Mm.
than what it costs me to keep my doors open. I
There's a
remember,
whole, that's a whole conversation is insurance and medical benefits because
yeah.
it's just, holy
So
mackerel, it's sad.
it's hard for the patient to
Mm-hmm.
pay our cash rates. I get it. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
for the chiropractor to accept insurance and have a living
Mm-hmm.
wage. But I love talking to people about money and their money mindset and
Yeah.
their struggles in service and accepting of payment,
Mm-hmm.
because
I
right,
love
I
that you
have a
said
heart for
that.
just helping
Mm-hmm.
people, and it's really hard to take money for that because I will do it for
Well,
free.
so a lot of women I have found in like the course of my career, I joke I've been working since I was 12, but I really have been.
Me too. My
And
dad's ice cream
I've
shop.
helped. Yes, my dad had a business and I used to do inventory, an electrical contracting company. I can't tell you how many stupid little nuts and stuff I've counted. But men don't complain about charging. They don't complain
No,
about talking about money, or they don't feel bad about talking about money, and they don't feel bad about charging an amount. Women, on the other
because
hand, have this nurturing typically, and I'm speaking obviously in very broad terms. There are, of course, exceptions to this, but in general, women have this like innate ability to like, or need to help and nurture, and we don't expect money for it because we just want to help, but we need to run a business and we need to do all these things. And so I'm so glad that you said you like talking about money because it's such an important part. Like, we're not running a hobby, right? We're running a
no,
business.
yeah,
Yes. And then the other thing that
yeah,
you said was, they go back to work in 2 to 3 weeks. I went to a business conference and the question was, does your business pass the bus test? And I was like, what's the bus test? So if you got hit by a bus, would your business continue? And I was like, whoa, that's something.
Oh my
Right?
gosh,
And it's
right?
like, if that poor woman has to go back to work in 2 or 3 weeks postpartum, I would say that business would not pass the bus test. And mine
No.
currently wouldn't either because not enough of my things aren't automated. But I'm working towards that. Like that's something I'm working towards because if I got hit by a bus, like I still have a family. And I
Right?
wouldn't want it just to just die. And I'm still helping all of these clients that are mine, and I don't want that to just die. So I have these people depending on me, and I want to be able to continue to serve them. And if I'm ever incapacitated by a
What?
bus,
That is so funny. Well, the COVID test, I mean, really, like how
right?
many local businesses have we seen not be able to pass the bus test?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
went downtown last weekend with my 13-year-old and
Mm-hmm.
I started crying as I walked
Yeah.
downtown Santa Cruz and saw every two businesses was shuttered, whether
Mm-hmm.
because their industry isn't allowed to be open right now,
Mm-hmm.
or they gave up their lease because they haven't been able to be open and run their business as well.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's
Yeah. I know. I know.
being in
So,
small business is an interesting dilemma.
it is. It is. And there's been quite a few that have made a lot of money in this, not small business, but like huge businesses have gotten richer during all this.
Yeah.
And these little guys that are supporting our local economies and communities are having to close doors. It's devastating. Um, so, your current practice, you have different services that are offered. And if I may sidestep again, when you mentioned your different Instagram handles and websites, I follow all of your things and I'm not a chiropractor. And I love your affirmations and you ask these really just neat questions that make me look inside of myself. So I do recommend, even if you're not a chiropractor or even a chiropractor person, I do recommend following you. I love your stuff.
Thank you.
But so tell us about your current business and how it's structured and what it looks like.
Which one?
I
No.
know. Let's start with the
No.
chiropractic, like
We'll
your
go with
brick
Golden
and mortar.
Chiropractic.
Yeah.
um, okay, so our primary offer, right, in terms of what we sell is
Mm-hmm.
chiropractic treatment plans. I do
Okay.
have a massage therapist in the clinic,
Mm-hmm.
so you can book massages through Golden Chiropractic. And
Mm-hmm.
I have acupuncturists renting space in the
Mm-hmm.
clinic. So
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of a hybrid integrated model.
Sure.
Where we do share a lot of mutual patients. We discuss the
Mm-hmm.
cases, and we are sort of holistic in offering all these different opportunities for people to find health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I will be scaling my business this
Mm-hmm.
year, so I'm really excited to announce that I have hired another chiropractor to join my
Yay.
team. I know you were there taking photos earlier this year
Is it
with
her?
Alex. Yep, Dr. Alex
Oh,
Baroni.
how
She just,
exciting.
yeah, I'm so excited. I have built up my business to a place where I'm at capacity. I just
Mm-hmm.
physically can't see more patient hours in a week without really feeling fatigue and pain in my arms and in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking to cut back a little bit my hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that provides an opportunity to kind of share and mentor and build up a practice for another chiropractor. Dr.
That's
Alex
awesome.
did her internship in the clinic October, November, December. She's
Mm-hmm.
so fun. She's whip smart. She's a great chiropractor. She's helping my neck feel better. I just
Mm,
am so excited to bring her on board. So
yeah.
will be there'll be more options for chiropractic patients to get. Right now, if someone called and they're really hurting, like, and
Mm-hmm.
they're a new patient and I've never seen them, I probably can't see them for 3 weeks which, you know, if you are in acute pain, you need care today. So Dr. Alex will be able to fill that need, which is exciting.
That is so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And especially because you know that what you're getting, like you've already worked with her for 3 months, like you know that's even better. You know, it's not like you
Yeah,
just had interviews and are hiring someone.
right. And I've had great,
That's
feedback from the patients that she has been touching and treating.
mm-hmm.
She's just a great fit for the kind of culture of our practice. And she was a great fit for Santa Cruz County. She just
Oh yeah.
loves organic food and
Mm-hmm.
vegetables and has been working at a farmer's
Mm-hmm.
market and has a fitness background. And I know she has a lot to offer and teach me.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so
So
when will she start?
she is actually already on the payroll. So we're working on
Nice.
getting marketing collateral together,
Mm-hmm.
writing and creating content. She just got notified. So at recording this in January, what is today? The 14th.
The 14th, yeah.
Yesterday, she was notified by the California State Board that she is
Mm,
eligible to now sit for the ethics licensing exam.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, however much time she needs to study for that and sit for the exam, we'll
Mm-hmm.
get her malpractice in order and she'll be ready to roll. That could be
Wow.
2 to 6 weeks, I think,
Yeah. So
which feels
exciting.
really soon, but very exciting about that. So,
It'll happen. You'll blink and it'll be, yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. So,
And so, in scaling back your practicing hours, will you be putting more into your coaching or are you going to be doing other projects or what do you see for that time that you're gaining with this scale?
that's a good question. I hope to actually spend more time in my garden. No, no.
Oh,
Of
for
course, I have a
those
lot of.
listening, oh my gosh, you have this little mini farm that we call it, and it's gorgeous, and it's been years in the works, but it's stunning. It's a little
Thank you.
oasis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs kind of goes like, every day is a vacation because I love my
Mm.
occupation. And the
Oh.
beauty of being a small business owner is that I have a lot of control over my time and my hours. Truly, I can change them and evolve them. So
Mm-hmm.
I love to mow the lawn and dig in my garden and plant flowers and
Mm-hmm.
vegetables. And so I make a lot of time for that in the spring to
Mm-hmm.
prepare my garden for the fall harvest.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a couple of projects and things that I'm growing this year, the podcast being one of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
growing visibility for Golden Chiropractic by
Mm-hmm.
speaking to more people. I am looking to create and take my practice, quote unquote, virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So I am working on creating a self-care course for stressed out, overwhelmed women who are looking to find 5 hours a week of self-care without feeling
Yes.
guilty that you're taking time away from your family. So
You
if
have
that
to talk
sounds,
to Sarah Tanza. We just
oh
did this
yes,
for her. She's working on a course and we just recorded it and like shot the whole thing. It's so cool. You've got
cool.
to talk
Yes,
to
I know
her
she's, I
about
know
it.
we talk. So I know she's
Yeah.
working on something too, which is,
Oh man.
it's so rad. It's so
It's
rad to
it's
be
amazing.
in collaboration with amazing local healers.
Mhm.
She's just such a phenomenal. Sarah Tanza is a local pelvic floor physical therapist, and
Mhm.
pretty much anyone with a vagina, I send them to her. They
And
have
P.S.
delivered
I didn't even
children.
know it existed until you told me about it. And really, men have pelvic floors too. And so I was
Yes.
like, just recording this series for her, I was just mind blown. I had no idea. I mean, so ignorant. And I feel like in Santa Cruz, we get into that stuff more. But I bet you, if I've never heard of it, I can only imagine the number of people that are going to get access to this that don't even have access to that type of physical therapist is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah. I mean,
And I feel the same way about chiropractic.
until I heard about her and saw her card and people started talking about her, I was like, what's
Mm-hmm.
floor physical therapy? And
Pelvic floor.
pelvic floor. And I'm
So
in the
funny.
industry, right? And I've had
Yeah.
children, and
Mm-hmm.
there's just so much. bias in medicine
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't really support women's health and women's bodies and women, women's mental, physical, and spiritual health. So that's a big
Mm-hmm.
passionate thing of mine. I'm, as you follow me and I have all these affirmations. Like that is a huge part of the mindset of
Mm-hmm.
really accepting that you're worthy, and so that's sort of in making yourself a priority and then holding
Yes.
boundaries for yourself. This has been a big area of study for me in the last several years,
Mm.
and so that's what I want to help women with.
I love that. That's huge. It's just so
So
cool.
follow along when I'm ready to launch it. You'll know
We
if you're
will.
following me on social media.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
very
don't have a
exciting. I can't wait to see where that takes you and how many people you're able to help. I just think the sky is the limit. And someone like you that's just so there's no ego. I mean, I've talked to chiropractors and it intimidates me because it's something that I'm not super like what was your saying? Like they're not crunchers or something?
Oh,
You're
I
not
don't
into
think I said that.
crunching, like a patient that like doesn't like getting cracked or
Cracked and crunched,
I don't
yeah.
cracked and crunched. That's what you said. And I'm in that category. Like it just freaks me out a little bit. Um, but you have just such a way of presenting information and your different options that I just think makes it so much less intimidating.
Yeah.
And,
I
it's just,
think it may be because I went to massage school before chiropractic
mm,
school. I studied massage therapy at Twin Lakes College of
mhm,
Healing Arts. I don't think it exists in Santa Cruz anymore, but their focus there, they really taught client centered massage. So
mm,
you talk to your client, you find out what they want and what they like, and then you deliver a massage that suits their preferences. So I really
mhm,
like deep tissue massage, get in there and bruise me, or I
mhm,
really just want to fall asleep. So that's
mm,
cool. I can do both. So when I went to
yeah,
chiropractic school, many people were really focusing on a niche technique. I just do activator. I
mm,
only do cranial sacral. I only do big manual adjustments. And
mm-hmm,
I'm like, well, what happens if an 85-year-old osteoporotic female comes in or a 22-year-old linebacker? You're going to be
mm-hmm,
delivering really different amounts of force, right?
mm-hmm,
So I think, the question comes up like, do I have a niche? Not in
mm-hmm,
the sense like how most chiropractors do, where they tend to have a
mm-hmm,
technique that they focus on. I have my perfect patient persona, right? My
mm-hmm,
ideal customer avatar in the marketing speak, right? The person who I speak to is a woman who's a helper or a healer. And I will, of course, I'll see her mother who's, a retiree and a gardener, and her husband who
mm-hmm.
might be the weekend warrior, and her kiddos. So I love family practice, and each one of those people is going to get an individualized chiropractic treatment plan. A
Mm-hmm.
kid probably will do fine in one or two visits. The grandma
Mm-hmm.
who's been, you know, I don't know, gardening, she's going to have really
Hurting,
different
honestly,
complaints
probably hurting for years, but just doesn't
for
want to
you.
say anything to sound like a
Right?
complainer.
Because of the
Yeah.
generation she grew up in, like we were talking about
Yep.
earlier. Anyway,
That's really cool. I like that. And then it makes it all about the person in front of you. It's not like you're applying your philosophy on them. It's like, let's talk to the person. And I think that that applies in any business, really, sales. I just launched a coaching course where I had a 15-minute discovery call before we even said, yes, you can be in it or not, because
yeah,
what if it's not a good fit? Or
right.
what if they realize I'm not their kind of style? Because when I say coach, it's not cheerleader, it's definitely coach, where I might have some hard stuff to talk about, but I think it would be such a disservice to not have those conversations. And it's just not going to be a good fit for everyone. So,
Yeah.
you having those conversations and really learning about the person in front of you will make you know A, what's a good technique, or B, if they're a good fit. I mean, there might be someone that's not.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm
That's great.
excited. I feel like in a chiropractic clinic, not everyone shows up for the first visit knowing if they're the right fit.
Right.
We don't offer a complimentary consultation in the office, but
Mm-hmm.
how can I increase visibility in our practice so maybe someone could get a better idea before they come in? I don't know. We'll work on
Yeah.
developing a YouTube channel and putting out, we have a newsletter and a content. So if somebody wants to kind of check us out, sign up for the newsletter. I'm
Yeah.
putting out valuable content every 2 weeks talking about a neck pain or a mid back pain or, some stretch that could help with something that probably is happening in either your body or your friends or your loved ones. So
Yeah. So, what do you see in 5 years or 10 years? Do you have any like vision boards or benchmarks that you're looking for in the next 5 or 10 years?
I have,
Ooh.
on my phone, I have a vision board. It's underneath all my notifications. um, so, it's such a good question. I like to theme my year and I like to set intentions and goals feel important. I think in the past I would call them goals, and now I sort of set them as dreams and intentions because I have learned that maybe I set a goal like, oh, 2020 is going to be the best year ever. I'm going to grow my business. And then something happens
Yeah.
and it doesn't go as planned. But last year, I set the theme of simplicity,
Mm.
which I really thought was going to be in my operations of the business, and it was, right? I simplified our software that we're using for scheduling and billing, but I also simplified so many things as the pandemic hit. I simplified my schedule. I simplified really my team. I don't have, receptionists working at the office anymore. So this year my theme is visibility. What are my dreams, for this year, right? Scaling the chiro business, promotion of the podcast, growth of on the personal side, growth of my garden. But in 5 years, it's really more of the same. Like, those are my
Yeah.
dreams. I want to grow the chiropractic practice and help more people live their best lives. I see that in the space I have, I think we could easily support 3 chiropractors working part-time, earning a full-time income and living their best healthy active lifestyle. So that to me feels really attainable. I'd love to we have a little ski condo in the family up in Bear Valley, so I think it would be really cool to have a week a month that I spend up in the mountains, or traveling, or just in my
Yeah.
garden, depending on the season. That sounds really lovely.
I like that. Yeah.
I don't know how that will happen, but I'm sure my
Yeah.
husband would so love having a little cabin to work on. So
Right. Oh, yeah. You've done some amazing stuff around your house. That was another thing I was like, I mean, God bless Jared, but I married incorrectly because he's like a demo guy, He's not like a put back together guy. So,
yeah, no,
yeah.
Ben has been learning how to build things, and that's cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I love that you set an intention for your year. I feel like when someone says this is the best year ever, I struggle because it's like, well, quantify that. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so you like simplify, like that's a great word. So then as you get hit with a project that you don't expect, you can sit there and think, okay, does this help my goal of the year or is this going to make it the wrong direction? It's just, I
Right.
really like that.
It's
So I'm
like
going to,
setting the GPS on your phone before you go
mm-hmm,
somewhere.
mm-hmm,
You're gonna drive to Tahoe. Well, you punch in an address, and if you make the wrong turn or you pull over, your GPS is
mm-hmm.
gonna recalibrate and head you still towards Tahoe.
Yeah.
So if you pick the
Mm-hmm,
word of simplify and that is your theme, and you ask, does this help
mm-hmm.
with? So hey, Goldie, do you want to be on my podcast? Well, my theme for the year is visibility. Heck yes.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know what we're gonna talk about, but we'll do
Yeah.
it.
I remember when I asked you and you said, oh my gosh, I just wrote down be on more podcasts. You're like,
Yeah,
I spoke this into happening. I
being.
was like, there you go.
Yeah.
Speak it into being. Yes.
Yes, yes. I
I
was
love it.
raised by a lovely, my mother is a little bit of a hippie, and she was always
Hmm.
speaking affirmations. And, we have a little course that we will do at the office from time to time, how to create a healing affirmation to heal a part of
Mm,
your body. And so I take that into all aspects of my life, writing affirmations
fantastic.
around my money issues,
Hmm.
my business growth and visibility. I mean, I picked that word and it is scary
Yeah.
for me to show up and be more visible. But I know
Hmm.
that's what's required to grow.
Yep.
It feels right.
That's
It feels
awesome.
like yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see and follow along with what's coming for you. I'm definitely going to tune into the podcast now that I know it's not for chiropractors. um, and yeah, thank you for being here.
You're so welcome. Thank you for inviting me. It's fun to hang out with you.
Talk about talk about business and pretend like we're in the same room when we're not.
Let's do another photo shoot.
I know.
I love
Whenever
our
you're
small
ready.
town story of how we met.
Well, and also after I started posting some of your stuff, all of the people that I know that go to you, I was shocked. I was
Yeah.
like, why have I not heard of you until this?
Well, because you're afraid of chiropractic, right? You're afraid of being
Yeah.
crunched and cracked. So
Yep.
why would you look to that as an
Right.
option for you?
Yeah. But I mean, so many of my friends go to you. It's like, why haven't they said, "Oh, I'm going to chiropractic. I can't talk right now. I'll talk to you later." It's just never come
Ah,
up.
it's
It's
such a
just
good
interesting.
question. I
Yeah.
wonder why people don't say.
We'll have to figure that out so we can make you more visible in 2021.
Right?
Hmm. Well, again, thank you. And until next time.
Until next time. Bye.